Hello and welcome to Paranormal in Pennsylvania,
where we discuss history and haunts.
Today's story takes us up to North Park. I'm Sarah.
And I'm David.
Let's get into it. So this place was recommended to us by a listener, and we do try to prioritize places that are recommended by listeners because you guys refer us to the coolest, smaller haunts. And I had never heard of this, but it's actually by a hiking trail that we have been to. It's called Blue Mist Road. And before we get into the history, I do want to mention that this episode features suicide and discussions of the KKK, so listener discretion is advised. Feel free to just hop off and tune in next week. So jumping into the history, Blue Mist Road is actually Irwin Road, located in North Park. And this road was a dirt trail dating back to the 1800s, so it's been around for a long time. And most of the history that I could find came from local tales, and allegedly a family of a dad, mom, and their children lived along the road. One night, the enraged father returned home and murdered the whole family, hiding their bodies in a nearby septic tank. There's also a cemetery near the road that lends itself to some of the hauntings. Additionally, some say that this might have been the site of KKK activity. Some say that it was not KKK, but other cult activities that occurred there. Currently, the land is owned by the Allegheny Land Trust, and it can be hiked, and it's a 3.8 mile out and back trail. And we did go visit it.
Yes, we did.
I don't think we were supposed to drive on it.
I'm not sure either. But we did.
We did. And it did look like there was still a house down there, maybe.
Well, there was a mailbox.
Right. So it looks like one person still lives there.
Yeah, and trash cans even.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we did encounter people hiking along the road, too.
Well, I mean, those could have just been normal hikers.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they lived there. I'm saying it's actively traveled. Yeah.
But it is interesting because as we went like a mile into it?
Yeah.
There was looked like where you would continue driving down the path, but there was a gate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so we didn't admittedly spend a ton of time here because we felt like maybe we weren't supposed to be there and we didn't want to be disruptive, so we drove down it and drove back out. And when we visit these places, I try to do the research ahead of time, but I don't tell Erica and David the story because I don't want to taint any experiences that they might have. But I don't think any of us had any paranormal activity there.
How do we know the people walking alongside the road were real? Did we say
don't.
Hi? Did we converse?
We don't. But they did look at our car like they wanted to run it off the road for being on their hiking area.
Particularly happy.
Yeah. So we'll get into the ghost story. While the road appears completely normal during the day, local legend says that after the sun goes down, the road becomes covered in a blue mist, hence the name of Blue Mist Road. And it's said that this is actually one of the most haunted places in the country. And not necessarily haunted, but the highest site of paranormal activity, rather.
So what you're saying is we are definitely going back at night.
And hiking it.
Heck yeah.
Oh, man. Erica, you down?
We got flashlights.
Oh, she's nodding yes. What did I sign up for? So these stories are a bit all over the place, so buckle up.
Very good.
Haha, because it's a road. Okay. Some legends date the haunting of this road back to a witch that lived on the dirt road back in the 1800s. And we all know that I love a good witch story. It's said that she regularly opened up portals to hell and other dimensions, allowing strange and haunting entities to come through. And this is where we get a lot of evidence of like cryptids and stuff. We actually learned from our friends at Twice the Terror podcast. Go check them out if you haven't. We learned from them that a lot of the lore around cryptids and things like this has to do with them oscillating between different dimensions and traveling through portals like this. So this isn't specific to this location. It's kind of just cryptid lore in general. And to awaken the spirits, you're supposed to park your car on the street and honk 3 times. Now, again, we didn't do this because we already felt like we weren't supposed to be there.
But also, it felt like we were not far enough down the trail where we were supposed to honk.
I agree with
that. It looks like it's not accessible anymore.
Yeah, I do agree with that. For those that have done this, they claim to see an overwhelming amount of spirit orbs. Some have had their car chased by human-dog hybrids, and also have witnessed bodies hanging from the trees.
That's spooky.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a really encompassing experience. There are also many reports of cars stalling after honking, or just in general. And this has happened a few times in other podcasts, specifically with the aliens, I think.
With cars stalling out?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is always interesting, especially when we, a spirit stalling out a car is very interesting to me. I mean, granted, we spoke about aliens, and so the assumption there is technology.
Yeah.
But this is very interesting that a spirit would just stall your car out.
I see what you're saying. With aliens, they're interfering, but with spirits, it's almost like, how are they?
Right. I mean, we know that spirits can interact with electronic devices, right? But stall out cars, and how far back do these reports even go?
There were definitely some from the 70s and 80s.
So really before, where you had like automatic or a lot of electronics, you had like a lot of manual, not a whole lot of technology in the vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Interesting.
So I looked into specific ghosts, and the most common report was of the hanging man. And this is a local legend. So apparently a man was looking for his girlfriend when he found her car on the road. Allegedly, it was a spot that people would go to hook up at night, which is shocking to me since the legend says that it's covered in blue mist and ghosts at night. Not exactly my ideal place to go make out with someone.
Well, sure, but also it's a place where no one's going to want to go, so you're very likely to be alone in private.
That's true. So the man, knowing that people went there to hook up, saw that her car was there and lost his mind. In reality, she had just left her car there and gone into town with a friend, but he didn't know that. He assumed that she was cheating on him, and he hung himself from one of the trees there. And it said that when you get the ghosts here going, because it seems like it's pretty binary. You're either having a paranormal experience and it's all of these things, or you're not. So when the paranormal stuff starts happening, you can see his ghost hanging from the tree.
Interesting.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty extreme action to me, but...
Right. I mean, that's pretty 0 to 100.
Yeah. So it's also said that the spirits of the murdered family continue to roam the streets at night, appearing as shadow figures to people that drive by. And I just think that's a crazy story, that he murdered his kids and wife and put them in a septic tank.
Yeah. So what year was that? I meant to ask this. Do we know?
No, I didn't write it down. Let me see if I can find it.
But yeah, I think that's crazy when somebody breaks like that.
Yeah. It doesn't look like there's actually a date listed anywhere.
I wonder if we could go back through public records and find it.
Maybe.
If it does exist.
So there are also reports of the sound of Native American drums on the road. And when a drum is heard and a photo is taken, angry faces are captured. And I tried to look for any of these images, but I couldn't find one.
Interesting. Also, I guess a question is, how do you know what a Native American drum sounds like?
I did have that question.
Versus like a normal drum.
Yeah, I don't know what makes it a Native American drum. I think people are just attributing it to the natives that might have lived there.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. And some of the faces that have been captured appear to be like native chiefs. So I think that lends itself to the assumption.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, so the picture definitely helps sell that then.
Yeah.
Shame we can't really find any of them though.
Yeah. And as mentioned during the history section, there is a cemetery nearby. And this is one of my favorite stories I think we've ever talked about it because it's so crazy to me. It's said that on a full moon, if the headstones of the bride and groom touch each other, then first of all, You can see the spirits dancing in the woods because apparently it was a bride and groom that died at their wedding. So you can see them having their dance, which is sweet. But what I think is very crazy is some versions say that when the shadow of the headstones touches, the world will come to an end.
I don't know about that one.
Once again, very extreme.
Because my first thing I'd want to do is actually just, if the spirits like the bride and groom are dancing and having such a great time, and it's reported, why not just make the headstones always touch?
Right. Well, because some people think it will make the world end.
Well, that's only if the shadow. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Theoretically, wouldn't that have already happened?
Yeah, they're
If you're so
contradicting
close?
stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did read some comments from locals about this road, and many people say that there's just an overall eerie feeling about the road. And again, we did feel like we shouldn't be there. Is that because of ghosts or because of, the road itself? I don't really know. But people do report seeing phantom headlights while they're driving.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I won't lie. It is a very inconspicuous road. I mean, we almost missed our turn into it.
Yeah, it was a sharp turn.
Also very sharp, yeah.
Yeah. So, of some of the comments that I read, the first comes from the 70s/80s time period, and the person said they used to hang out there as a teenager. They reported that when they would drive on the road, their car would just, quote, not sound right. And that even though there were multiple abandoned homes on the street, they would regularly see figures in the windows of the homes.
Oh, that's really creepy.
Yeah, and I was trying to think of where the homes were. And again, I think you're right that we just didn't get to have the whole experience because it was barricaded.
Yeah, so, I mean, really, we should probably park it and go walk it.
Yeah, it sounds like I signed myself up to do that with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, what's the worst that could happen to us?
Apparently a lot.
Yeah, I mean, jokingly, but yes, a lot.
Yeah. Another person commented that on their third visit to the road, they were so overwhelmed by the stench of death that they actually thought they were going to vomit and had to close their windows. Now, we always try to look at things through a skeptical lens as well. And this is in the middle of the woods, so it's very possible that there was a dead animal somewhere.
Yeah, very easily.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I thought of, like, oh, overwhelmed by the stench of death. Okay, so there's a rotting animal nearby that you couldn't see.
Yeah. Apparently, there are local ghost hunting groups that investigate this place after dark, and apparently you can sign up to go with them. So, if we do want to go back, we don't necessarily have to go by ourselves.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Strength in numbers, and then the horror movie starts where we disappear one by one.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's play the game of who will survive from Pip? Who will die first? So we went here, obviously, and the question is, would we actually go back?
I think that's a self-answering question based off what we've already said.
Yeah, I guess we would.
We're talking about going back and even doing local ghost hunting.
I mean, I don't know that I would love to actually experience all of these things, though.
The spirit orbs would be certainly something. Being chased by the dog-human hybrid, that's not really my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But I'm still interested.
Yeah, I guess it would be interesting. It's the all or nothingness of this place that really scares me.
Right, because it is absolutely like a full throttle experience. Like you are
in it.
You are really in it until you get out.
Yeah. So that's the story of the haunting of Blue Mist Road. Let us know if you've been there, if you've had any experiences with it, and also let us know if there's somewhere that you want us to cover, because we love hearing from you guys. It helps us find cool little niche stories like this. Thank you for tuning in, and tune in next Thursday to see what hauntings we discuss next.
Spooky!